Okay, so we are up to Mishlei 16:23. How many pasukim do we have left? We have 33 pasukim in the chapter, so we're really closing in on the end of the chapter here. Okay, Lev Chacham Yaskil Pihu ve'al Sifasav Yosif Lekach. Who would like to try translating that for starters?
Something about the heart.
Yeah, so the heart, and then there's no good word for this in English, but in Hebrew, Lev can mean heart or mind. Okay, so we'll go heart, mind. Actually, we'll do heart/mind. Yeah, who wants to take over? Lev Chacham Yaskil Pihu. Not, then I'll do it.
I can try it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the heart or mind of a wise man,
Yeah.
he will understand his mouth, or will
Yes,
understand his mouth.
I think the subject of Yaskil is, I think plain shot is its Lev. So the heart of a wise person, Yaskil Pihu. Yeah, how would you translate Yaskil? It's hard.
Understand or insight?
Yes, I think. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I can't prove this, but I think since it's in Hefil, I think it means will make his mouth either intelligent or it'll make his mouth comprehend. Okay. Yeah. Ve'al. Now this is gonna be, it's gonna sound awkward. So if you translate it literally and it sounds weird, then I think that's fine. Ve'al sifasav Yosif lekach.
And on his lips, he will add. It says lekach, I guess, learning, teaching.
Yeah, right. Okay, so now here's the thing. I don't know if it's he or it, okay, will add learning or teaching. Okay. Yeah. Now, before we go on, I just want to acknowledge what I wrote in the shiur blurb here, which is that if this sounds familiar, it might be because you were in the shiur that we did on Mishlei. This is, did I not save it in the right file? Hold on, Mishlei 16:21. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So we had this other pasuk, 2 pasukim earlier, which is L'chacham lev yikari navan umesek sefasayim Yosif lekach. Okay, which is like half of the words are the same. Okay. The wise of heart will be called a navon, will be called an understanding person, and the sweetness of his lips will increase learning, or one whose lips are sweet will increase learning. Okay, so that you can be in the back of your mind, but that's it is very weird to have 2 pasukim that are so similar or so close together. Okay, so let's look at other minimalist meforshim here. So Sadigon says, Lev hachacham, the heart / mind of the wise person, Yechkam or Yechakim, I think Yechakim Estevarav, will make his words wise. Okay, so he just gets rid of the synonym, changes Yaskil, which is from Seichel to Chacham in the same way as Chacham, and then he just steamrolls over the distinction between Pihu and Sfasav, between mouth and lips, by just saying Uvidiburo Yosef Lekach, and with his speech increases learning or instruction. Okay, so if you're looking for a simplified translation, Sadion just again bulldozes over all of the nuances here. Targum, I think, is just straight up Liba de Hakima Mistakal Pume, which means the heart of the wise person makes intelligent his mouth. Uvasif vasohi mosif ulfana. Yeah, so I think that's just a literal translation. Okay, then we've got Art Scroll. The heart of a wise man places intelligence into his mouth. That's interesting. I mean, I think it's grappling with the same thing that I mentioned here of the causative Hefil, and increases learning on his lips. Okay, so that's interesting. So Art Scroll is taking a stance that the it is the heart. So the heart does 2 things. The heart is makes his mouth intelligent, and the heart increases learning on his lips. Rav Hirsch says the heart of the wise man directs his mouth towards perception. Okay, so that's a very, very interpretive translation here. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I think he might be. I don't know if where he's getting this from, but in Gan Eden, when Chava looks at the tree, it does say something similar to that. It says, yeah, actually, I just want to see how they translate this here. Yeah, so when Chava looks at the tree after the Nachash seduces her, it says, "Vater ha'isha ki tova etz lamachal." The woman saw that the tree was good for eating, for food. V'chisabahu le'naim, and it was desirous for the eyes. V'nechman ha'etz lahaskil. And okay, so they say desirable to grant wisdom, alternatively to look at or to contemplate. So I think you could translate it lahaskil as to perceive. Okay, so we'll add here perceptive. All right. So the heart of a wise man places the heart of a wise man directs his mouth towards perception, and even on his lips he gains understanding. Okay, so he adds on the word even. And then Alter says a wise man's heart will make his mouth clever, and lips sweetness increases instruction. And so I think he basically is transposing from the earlier pasuk for this. Either that or I mistyped it, but either way, that's not really what we're interested in here. Okay, so I'm going to move these up. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. See if I could copy all of these into the chat. I might not have enough characters to do so. Oh, it looks like it worked. Okay, and then I'm going to move these upstairs, and then we will analyze. Okay. Yeah, so what are the questions and problems? Yeah, what do you say? Yeah, Yalla.
What does it mean to make a mouth intelligent or comprehend?
What does it mean to make a mouth? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to actually be even vaguer here. To endow a mouth with seichel, okay, intelligence. Okay, mouths, intelligence is a quality of a mind, not of a mouth. And then I would add to that, I'd say ordinarily, we could say that this is referring to the mind, but here, since it explicitly talks about the heart/mind, it's more difficult to say this. In other words, like if you had a pasuk that said, conversations with the wise will make your mouth intelligent, I would say it means make your mind intelligent and expresses itself through speech. But since it specifically says the mind in the first quarter of the pasuk, then it's harder to say that here. Okay. Other questions? Yes, Ayala.
What exactly is Lev Chacham in this context?
Yeah. What does I'll split that into two questions. What does lave? What does heart/mind mean in this context? I guess, is it heart or mind? Okay. I mean, let's say heart, emotions, or actually, I don't want to limit it to heart emotions. Is it? Yeah, I guess. Yeah. We'll just say, what does it mean? Yeah. Okay. And then, what is unique about the heart of a? Actually, you know what? Hold on. Leif Chacham. No, I think it has to be Chacham. I was wondering if Chacham could be an adjective to describe the heart, but I think it's a heart of a Chacham. So what is unique about the heart/mind of a Chacham? Yeah. Okay, Isaiah?
What's in the second half, what is doing the adding?
Yes. Okay. So
Who or what?
yeah. Who or what is doing the adding in the second half? Okay. Is it that the heart is adding learning or teaching? Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just use the Hebrew word here, lekach. Or is it that the chacham is adding? Is there another possibility here? Oh, sorry, I know another one. Yeah. Okay. So, what else? What are the candidates here about what could be adding? So there's the heart.
The person, or the lay chacham.
Okay, I think there's one more possibility.
Maybe the lips.
So
No,
I think is hard because it's on the lips, right?
The mouth.
Yeah, the mouth, right? Is it the heart, the mouth, or the chacham himself? Okay. So if it is just to spell this out here, okay, if it's the heart, then that means that the heart is doing double duty. The heart is making the mouth intelligent, and the heart is also adding learning to the lips. If it's the mouth, then what it seems like is happening here is the heart is making the mouth intelligent, and the mouth is adding learning to the lips. And then if it's the chacham, then it means that the heart of the chacham is making his mouth intelligent, and then the chacham is adding learning to his lips. And I'm least inclined towards that way because it just seems it just seems vaguer, you know. Okay, yeah, Ayala.
So what does lekach mean here, and what type of lekach
Yeah,
of learning
what
or teachings is it?
does lekach mean here? And we'll split the learning to teaching into two things. Is this for the chacham himself, or for someone else? And then like what kind of learning / teaching? You know, I saw something here in I deleted it already, but in the BDB dictionary that I clicked on, I saw something interesting, which I have never noticed before about this word lekach. So lekach literally means gain or take. So it says here, I don't know how much we could rely on this. It says instruction subjective as personal acquirement, which makes sense of, let's say, for example, if you talked about the Torah also means teaching, but that's like objective teaching. Lekach, what is your gain? Like if I say like, what have you gained from the shiur? I'm asking about a personal thing. Like that may or may not be what I'm teaching. So I think I'm just going to add this here. Hold on a second. We'll add lekach, and that's learning, teaching, literally takeaway. Is probably the best translation. Yeah. Okay, good. What else? Yeah, Ella?
What does it mean that it's adding lekach on his lips specifically? Like why the
Yeah.
lips?
Right. So what does it mean that it specifically that it's adding lekach onto his lips? And I feel like here we should ask the question that Sadi Gon answered here is if I guess if mouth and lips are not synonyms, what is the difference? Yeah, Alex?
Is this only true of the Chacham? And if so, like what are lay people supposed to take away from this statement?
Okay, that's a good question also. Okay, so I'm gonna make those into two separate questions. One is this specific to the Chacham, or is this true to a degree of anyone? And then let's just say who is the intended audience, okay? And then if it's specifically the Chacham, what can the rest of us gain? Yeah, Isaiah?
I'm not sure if this is the question that was just asked, but is this an attribute of like specifically an actual chacham's lave, or is this an attribute of like a lave that has the quality of chachma?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I can't prove this. I'm pretty sure that actually I just want to ask ChatGPT. And we will just okay. Can Leiv Chacham be translated as a wise heart, or does it specifically, or can it only mean heart of a wise man? Is it going to reverse it? So it says, it looks like it got the alignment messed up. We'll see if it corrects it when it gets to the end. Leiv Chacham can be translated either as a wise heart or the heart of a wise man, depending on context. Hebrew constructs like this allow for both interpretations. Oh man, that is really, I've never seen it do that before. I use Hebrew all the time. I've never seen it mess up the translation like this. Yeah, but it looks like it can be both ways based on what it says. So I'll add that here. Alternatively, could this even just mean wise heart? I just want to see from the surrounding context if there's any clues here. So the previous pasuk said L'chacham lev yikari. Oh, sorry, L'chacham lev yikari navon, and then the next one is Makor chaim sechel ba'alav. Yeah, I'm inclined to say that it means the heart of a wise man because we are talking about wise people lately, but I guess grammatically it works out. Yeah. Next is my dad.
And the first part, isn't this pretty obvious that a chacham speak intelligently?
Yeah. Okay. Good. I was wondering if anyone was going to ask that. So isn't the first half obvious, right? Obviously, the heart / mind of a wise person will have a beneficial impact on effect on his speech. Yeah. Okay. Now, just to point out methodologically, just I know we're not on the idea phase yet. It would be, it is, if the entire pasuk is obvious, then that's our usual problem. If only the first half is obvious, so then methodologically there's two ways to go. One is to find out a way that it's not obvious. The other is to say, yeah, the first half is obvious, but the first half is just a setup for the second half, and the real chiddush, the new idea, is in the second half. Okay, Isaiah?
I kind of want to question the premise that the first half is obvious.
Okay.
Because like I wouldn't think you need to say that like the mouth of a chacham is made intelligent, because it's like when a person speaks, it's just like an outgrowth of what they're thinking. It's not like a separate thing that needs to be acted upon. Like the mind, does the mind act on the heart, or just like, or the mind act on the lips, or does it just the lips just express what the mind is saying?
Okay, so maybe I misunderstand you because it sounds like you are agreeing that it's obvious, that you don't even need to say it. It's so obvious.
Well, I wouldn't call it even to me, like Yaskil doesn't even make sense.
So, it doesn't even make sense.
So it's saying something that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, I hear.
You don't need to. You wouldn't say that it makes it more intelligent if it just is expressing the intelligence that he has.
Okay, right. So I think now we've got two pairs of the questions. Either the first half is obvious, or what does it mean to endow a mouth with seichel, given the fact that you can't have a seichel in a mouth. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if my dad has another question, or if that was is your hand up from before? Okay, Ayala.
I don't think this is covered yet, but is the lev of the chacham intentionally making the mouth yaskil or seichel, or is it just like a natural result?
Okay, that's a good question here. Okay, so let's say, okay. Yeah, I'm going to actually make this into a separate question also, which is what is the mechanism of the first half? Okay, and to what extent is it intentional or natural? Yeah, Alex?
For the second half, is that kind of a natural process, or is it an active one?
Okay, right. So I'll ask that same question here. Actually, I'm gonna just be lazy. What is the mechanism of each half? Okay, to what extent is it intentional or natural? Yeah. I am gonna add one thing, by the way, which I don't think is the normal way to read it, but the Meiri says something funny. So he says, "Shedibur hapeh yaskil libo, klomar Yosif b'seichel libo, v'yadruchehu b'havanas dvarim ne'lamim." So he translates it differently, which is, I'll just put the Meiri up here. Meiri says you translate it as the mouth of the chacham makes his heart / mind intelligent. Okay, so he reverses it. I don't think that's the normal way to read it, even though it grammatically works. Okay, what are we missing here? I feel like we are missing one question. That's what my intuition is telling me here.
Have we talked about the intended audience?
We did ask who the intended audience is, but we did not talk about the practical application. Right? What is the practical application? Okay, I feel like there's a question that we're missing, but maybe we'll proceed and then we can always add. Yeah, Isaiah?
I guess we can ask, like, does this effect always take place? Or is it...
Yeah, that's a good question also. So I'm gonna tack that onto here. Is is this a guarantee or just a high probability? Yeah, Ayala?
So it seems like the halves are building on each other, but I guess we can ask what the relationship is between
That's a
the
good
two
question
halves.
also, right? Oh yeah, okay. I think that's a question. That reminded me of the question that we're missing here. Okay, so what is the relationship between the two halves? And then I'll say, given the fact that this entire pasuk is positive, what would the negative opposite be? Meaning like is it that we compare this to the fool, or is there another opposite here? Okay. All right, let's start migrating the questions to the chats. Okay, we got that, and then we got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to add another question, which is a side question. What is the difference between this pasuk and the very similarly worded 16:21? We may not have time to go back for that, but I just want to have it on record here. So this is 14. Okay. Boom. Okay. Let's think. Anyone have anything? Even a half idea? Yeah, Ella?
Okay, so I have an idea based off of the weird, like, intelligent lips idea.
Okay.
And I was thinking that in general, like, a person may look at somebody who has intelligent lips, whether that means is like witty or articulate or saying like intelligent things a lot. And if they want to be like that, they may think that like they have to, I don't know, practice articulation or practice different things like that. And it's saying, no, the way to do that is to develop the lev of a chacham.
Okay, nice.
And
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the second half would just be adding that, like, whatever intelligent lips means, it's also about like someone who's, I don't know, teaching things or taking lessons from things. It also comes from the lev chacham.
Okay. So, well, I'm going to write down the first idea, and then the second idea to me struck me as sounding like a different idea. So I feel like maybe I'm missing the how it ties in. So let me get down the first half first, which is that the audience of the pasuk is someone who sees another person with intelligent lips. Okay, witty, sharp-tongued, articulate, etc. And thinks that the way to gain those qualities is by training in, I guess the proper term is oratory, right? Or I'll use the negative word in Socrates thing, sophistry, right? Is fancy, intelligent speech. Okay. This pasuk teaches you that the key to doing to gaining that quality is to work on your mind, and that will have an influence on your mouth. So are you taking pihu and sfasav like synonymously, and it's just using it differently yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's the simplest way to go. Yeah, okay. Now the second idea, or the second part you were saying, say it one more time and tell me how that fits in about the lekach.
Okay, yeah. So I was just saying that like the first half is talking about, let's say, articulation or wittiness or whatever, and then the second half maybe is talking about like the content, more of the content of the person speaking. I'm looking at it as like kind of an extension, but that also, like, if somebody is, I don't know, constantly like saying cool things, like cool ideas, or taking lessons from different things, that I guess the Havamina is a little bit less steady here. But like, I guess you may think also that that's like a unique thing to work on, but really it comes from the Leiv Chacham.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, I do feel like the Havamina is less, because I think there it'd be hard to say that a person could be, increasing learning or increasing teaching not from having Chacham Leiv, So let's just leave this as a question now. We can come back and refine it, which is how does the Yosef, the increase or add lekach fit in? Yeah, okay, but I like the idea in general. Okay, Alex.
Kind of building off of what Ayala's like set down as a foundation. I think the lekach fits in if you look at it from like a nature versus nurture kind of framework, wherein someone on the outside might think the chacham is born that way, or that it's a physical quality, like, oh, their lips are just shaped that way, their mind is just that way, versus acknowledging that there's an actual like active thing that the chacham is doing, which is
interesting
teaching, and that's how they're getting that quality.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so the first half is addressing the mistake about where about how to, let me think of.
I think it's the mistake of assuming things are nature, assuming that things are innately a certain way. And then the second half is talking about the reality of like, no, you need to hone those skills and you need to actually work to achieve that quality.
Okay, so I want to take a step and just make this a little bit more generic or broader, because I think that will encompass both of your ideas better. Tell me how this sounds. Is the first half is addressing the mistaken impression about where this kind of speech comes from, and the second half is telling you how to develop that quality. Okay, namely by increasing your I think teaching actually fits in better here, but I'm kind of prejudiced from my idea, so I'll just say increasing your lekach. Yeah, so I do think I'll put in the nature and nurture thing also, is like the overall mistake is to assume that that this quality comes from nature, but Shlomo tells us that it can be trained. You can train yourself in it. Okay, I think that does complement Ayala's idea well. Okay, Ariel?
Yeah, I had another idea more about that there are three elements in that a chacham has.
Okay.
And one of them is it starts with the mind. And I like the BDB's translation of lekach, because I think it just gave me a whole new insight in like a chacham. And I think the mind, I think you have to start off with objective chachma, like in order to in order to get a subjective idea of chachma, like you have to have an objective understanding of like your scenario, or like whatever it is. The point is, like, it has to be objective so that you can transition into something, your takeaway as an objective thing. So I think the mind, you have objective reasoning, and then the mouth is, the next step is now how you speak, and how you speak or how you interact with people through your chachma. And then the third thing is the lips, and I'm not sure why it uses lips. I don't really know, but the idea maybe you could say that like is now that you have this objective, reasoning or whatever. Now like there is an idea in taking it and making other ideas your own, and taking it subjectively, and the more you think about certain things, and you're still thinking through other, I don't know, parts of the world or other types of chachma, and you're constantly thinking about them, and you can apply it in other areas of chachma. I'm not really, I'm not explaining clearly, but do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I like the threefold division, and I think the real, in order to complete this idea, I think we need to figure out what the lips are doing, right? Like
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you also what I'm suspecting here, which I don't know if this is going to fit in with your idea or if this is a different idea, but we've had a lot of discussions, especially in morning Mishlei, about how the difference between a chacham and a navon is that the chacham is a dependent learner and the navon is an independent learner, which means that a chacham gets all of his knowledge from other people, but the navon is someone who could derive new knowledge from the knowledge that he has. And what it's sounding like Ariel is saying, and what it sounded like the pasuk is saying, is it's describing the transition from the chacham to navon, because the chacham starts off with the knowledge, like Ariel was saying, like just getting knowledge, and then he's talking about the chachma with people, but then there's some personal added quality that he gets through his own lips. But what that is and how that works, I'm not sure about. But it does sound like a nice bridge between a chacham and a navon. I'm just going to say possible subject is how to develop from a chacham who is a totally dependent learner into a navon who is an independent learner capable of generating his own new knowledge, new insights, and the second half is saying that this ability to add your own insights starts with your own lips. Okay, and the only question is, how does that work? Yeah, I think this is a good start for an idea, though, or not just start. I think this is a good foundation. But I think we don't have the idea without the lips part.
So maybe can we go into what the mouth is again? It's just you speaking.
So I don't want to reveal. I have a theory about the whole pasuk, but I don't want to reveal yet. I reveal the whole idea. So
yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Okay, Isaiah.
All right, mine's a little bit similar to Ariel's.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking about is that this is also a progression of well, this shows you sort of how a chacham is able to use his lips. So a person who is a chacham and has acquired a certain level of ability with their mind and capability of thinking things out, so that sharpens their tongue. They're able to speak more clearly, and that's what it's saying, that it makes their mouth intelligent. That when they speak, they'll sound more intelligent, and that will improve their standing in other people's eyes, I guess. But not only does it do that, but it improves their ability to acquire new ideas, because a person who has a sharper tongue is more able to discuss ideas with other people and clarify them further, and therefore obtain new teachings to themselves. So a chacham uses his lips to build on his own chachma. Yeah.
Okay, good. His discussions, his knowledge discussions with others. Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, my idea gets to the same endpoint, but a completely different route. But that's good. Okay, next is my dad.
Yeah, I wonder if this is very simply talks about the obligation to teach.
Okay.
3 elements here. We have knowledge, and then we have the ability to speak clearly. But the task is not complete until you teach.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where my idea is going also. Okay, so maybe this is a good time for me to say my idea. So I don't know if we talked about this or if this is from Morning Mishlei, but I feel like recently we had a good one of the meforshim went through like all the parts of speech, or all the parts of the mouth and like difference between like the mouth and the tongue and all this other stuff. I don't remember where this was, and I don't remember if this is in line with it. But I was trying to think about what the difference is between mouth and lips, and I was thinking maybe mouth is what you say and speech is how you say it. Okay, like mouth is like the contents of your speech. Now, the contents of your speech are just an outgrowth of the contents of your mind. Like what what you want to say is an outgrowth of that. But there is a stage where you have knowledge and you're talking, with that knowledge, but you don't bother to take that final step, like my dad was saying, of formulating your speech to be able to teach others, and so if you are, we've all had the experience of how you think you know something, and then when you try to articulate it, then it exposes gaps in your knowledge or lack of clarity, or even if you think that you say it clearly, the person who you're talking to doesn't understand it, and then that forces you to go one step further and be even clearer. So the way I want to say it is, I'm going to just combine our ideas here, which is like this, which is it's obvious that if you have a wise mind, then you'll have, then the contents of your speech will be, I'll say the contents of your speech, that's, mouth, will be intelligent. However, your development isn't complete until you take that final step to formulate, that's lips, your speech, your intelligent speech in a manner that can, convey your ideas to someone else. Okay. When you do that, not only will they gain, but you'll also gain. And I think that's why, this is why the ambiguous word, lekach is used, because it does mean learning and teaching. Okay. Yeah, Ariel?
Can I steal the can I steal what you're using for
Sure.
lips and plug it into my idea?
Yeah.
So maybe you could say that like, like even when you're taking away, when you're getting new insight, like the new insight has to stem from something that you've already had, like some objective chachma out there, and the lips, you have to formulate it and translate it into that subjectivity with. It has to come from a foundation of chachma, and the lips is you have to formulate that.
I agree with you, but I feel like that's what you were saying earlier. I thought that was the whole basis of your thing, that there's a progression, that the foundation is you have knowledge in your mind, and then the second step was you talk about it with people, and
I guess now I guess I'm more conscious of defining it more.
Yeah, I feel like we're very close to it's an idea that would fit in with yours. But maybe when we do this on the meforshim, it'll add to it. I want to say one more thing also, which is that I wanted to articulate the practical takeaway. So the practical takeaway here. Well, so let's say let's do audience. Let's do tackle. Okay, audience, takeaway, and opposite. Okay, what would you say for either of those? Who's this talking to? What is the audience, application, and opposite? What would you say here? I think it's like a unique pasuk in this regard. I mean, it's kind of implicit in what I wrote, but let's talk it out. Yeah, Ella?
So you should be making an effort to give over ideas to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
For
right.
your and their benefit.
So the audience is someone who thinks that their chachma can be complete without engaging in some form of teaching. So in other words, this is not the opposite of this is not a fool, which is what we would assume for a pasuk about a chacham. But this is saying, this is a person who thinks that if I understand an idea in my own head, then I'm complete, and I think anyone who's involved in teaching realizes like the benefit of this, but that doesn't mean they're going to actually go out and do it. And so I think this is like urging people to go out and teach. I was going to say also along those lines that that answering the question about Alex's question about if this is just for a chacham, then what about the rest of us? I think that this doesn't apply exclusively to someone who someone who is a certified Mishlei chacham, okay, but rather anyone who is a chacham in the sense that they have knowledge, okay, meaning with regards to that knowledge, formulating it and expressing it to someone is going to complete this process. And the more you do that in general, then the more you're going to become a chacham in general. And this is like that. I feel like I quoted this in a recent Mishlei shiur. So the Einstein barmaid quote, no physical theory is worth much if it cannot be explained to a barmaid, meaning, I know that insults barmaids and that's not politically correct these days. I don't even know if we have barmaids these days, but barista, no, barista, that's not a barmaid. But you should be able to explain it to an average person, basically. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so let's look at some meforshim here. I feel like we're going to have a lot of ideas that are very close to what we've come up with here, because I think there's not a lot of wiggle room in this pasuk. Okay, so Metzudas David says like this: Yaskil pihu yelamed es piv lahamtik amarim. So he teaches his mouth, or I guess trains his mouth, probably. He trains his mouth to sweeten his statements. It's funny. That also looks like he's going based off of the other pasuk, because the other pasuk said umesek sefasayim, the sweetness of lips. Yosef lakach. All right, this is interesting. All right, so he trains his mouth to sweeten his statements. V'kasher yu shagrim al sfasav, and once they are fluent in his on his lips, Yosef od limud, he will increase even additional learning. Lahavin tochius hadavar, to understand the contents of the matter. Im kain ba hahaskala min halev el hapeh. If so, the comprehension will flow from the mind to the mouth. V'chozros lavo min hapeh el halev, and then go back from the mouth to the mind adin tachlis, in an endless cycle. Okay, so what is he saying that's different from what we're saying? What's his main idea here? And I think the key here is to focus on what the differences are that we have not, that didn't show up in ours. Yeah, Ayala?
I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of sounds like he's saying to focus on just like the literal words that you're saying, or like statements or phrases.
Yeah.
And then once you're like used to saying those things, you'll eventually like think about them, and you should think about them and understand them, and then it'll like affect how you're saying them, and then also affect how you're thinking about them. Kind of reminds me of like Shema or Tefilah.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna go there. Yeah. Let's look at that source inside. Yeah. So in Shema, it says, and I always forget, there's two Rashis, and I forgot which one says which. But it says in Rashi on Vav Zion, Vishinan Tam Levanecha. So Vishinan Tam, he says Lashon Chidud, it means sharpness. Sheyihu mechudadim beficha, that it should be sharp in your mouth. Sheim yeshalcha adam davar lo tehet tzarich legam game, that if someone asks you something, you shouldn't need to stammer emor lo miad, but you should say it to him immediately. Now, Ayala, is this the one you were thinking of? Because this is the one I was thinking of. Or were we thinking of the other one? No. Okay, good. So I'm glad. I think it's both of them. So the other one, wait, is it in? Yeah, it's here, I think. Right, Bashinan Tam, Shinan. Oh no, it doesn't have. Let's have Limadim Osam. Does he say on Limadim Osam? Hold on.
I think I was just thinking of the idea. I didn't know that there was a Rashi on it.
Oh, okay, yeah. There is hold on. Is there another pasuk this is Bashinan Tam? Or am I just imagining this? Bashinan Tam. Or maybe there were two Rashis on that first one that I just looked at. Hold on. Because Vishinantam can either mean sharpen, like make sharp, or it can be to repeat. Okay, let's see here again. Vishinantam levanecha. Sorry, Zion. Where is it? Why am I not finding this? Zion. No. And there is only one pasuk that says that. So I think there's another Rashi that interprets shinun as repetition. Let me just look at the Torah Tamima, because obviously Rashi's quoting Chazal. Shinun tam. Shinun tam shayidu. Hiloshim shachadam devrim. Shinun tam levanecha ela tamidecha. Okay, no, maybe I'm imagining this, Rashi. Yeah. So the key phrase here, I'll get to you in a second, Isaiah. The key phrase here is actually hold on a second. Let's just summary. Summary is or sorry, I guess the difference between him and us is he learns makes his mouth intelligent to mean that the ideas are, I translate this as fluent, but shagur also means like secure, like the ideas are fluent in, on his lips, in his mouth. Yeah, Isaiah, what do you want to say?
Well, another thing that he was focusing on that I think we didn't focus on is that, like, he views the second half as like a flow back from the lips back to the mind, which I don't really understand what that means, but he says that.
So I think I do understand. So let me just write this down here. So he also learns this as a virtuous cycle, from the mind to the mouth and the mouth back to the mind. Okay, so what I think this is here, okay, what I think he's talking about here is like this. Oh yeah, Alex, you want to say?
Yeah, it sounds to me like he's focusing in on this idea of like reflexive speech, wherein like they don't have to think about thinking about the chokhmah. Like it just comes naturally, like from their head and flows out.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Opposed to like instances where people like will stop and process.
Right. Okay, good. So what he's saying is like this, is he's saying like, it's not enough to get an idea clear in your mind, okay, or even to teach it to others, okay, to others. Rather, you need to go over the ideas and get them so clear, okay, that you can say them fluently without even thinking about it. Okay, so like when I'm like, let's say for example, I'm going over, I just got done with my first semester of Tefilah at Nidra, and like a lot of these ideas, like you asked me, there's certain ideas, like you asked me to give a shiur on Tefilah 101 or on Who is Hashem. Like I've talked about it so much that like I don't even need to prepare. I could just like talk about it, and it's just fluent, and like I don't want to say this, but like there are certain ideas that like are so much of a part of the way I think that I could almost go on autopilot, like there's a line from the Family Guy, which I sometimes think about. I'm not saying that this is an ideal, but like I think Peter says something stupid and Brian says to him like, Peter, do you even listen to yourself? And Peter goes, I tune in and out, and sometimes like if I'm saying an idea that I've like taught many times, let's say it's like in a Q&A, and like someone asked me a question and like I'm talking about it, like it feels like my mouth is talking on its own, so I think he's getting it's a beautiful interpretation of the puzzle, because he's saying, we asked the question, what does it mean to make your mouth intelligent? Like I thought your intelligence is in your mind. So he's saying, yeah, your mouth should be as if it's talking on its own and saying the ideas on its own. Okay, now once you get that, okay, that's when the second part kicks in. Once you reach that level, then it will unlock new levels of depth in the formulations themselves, okay, which will change which will deepen, I guess, which will cause you to go back and analyze them even deeper. Yeah? Question or comment?
Comment.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this out of the context of a school or a congregation or a rabbi teaching. If you go to the Mass General Hospital for Harvard University,
Yeah.
you find the most brilliant brain surgeon there.
Yeah.
He's someone who understands the brain and can perform delicate, tricky operations, and can explain what he, can articulate what he's doing. He was given a gift by God. Does this mean you not only we need to complete the set, but you are obligated to teach?
Are you going with this idea, or you're going back on the idea that you came up with before?
It's an extension of the idea I came up with.
Okay, yeah, right. So I don't know how I feel about the word obligated. I mean, Torah gives you an obligation, formal obligation to teach Torah, and then you could say like there's a philosophical obligation, but I don't think Mishlei really talks about obligations in that way. I think like it would say that Mishlei would say that if you want to be a chacham, then you should teach because it'll make your chachma better.
Yeah, and that's why I'm using this example of the brilliant neurosurgeon who has mastered these things. Yeah, I need to think it through a little bit more.
Okay, sure. So going back to this idea here, I think a good example of this is Tefilah. Okay, that with Tefilah, the words are fluent in our mouth, and hopefully we get to the point where like we have some basic understanding of it, and then the understanding is fluent in our mouth. Again, like if you ask me, I mean, we're going through it again now on Fridays, but if you had asked me like what intention you should have for each of the words in the first bracha of the Shemona Esrei, I'd be able to give you like an interpretation for each one because that's what I have in my mind. But like once you get that fluency, I'm not explaining how the mechanisms work. I'm just stating from experience that like it frees up your mind to, let me think how to put it. Maybe I'm trying to explain the mechanism. Okay, let me try this out here, okay? When you first start learning, you have facts, okay? Whether it's text or whether it's science, and you inquire into the facts, and then you get the idea, okay? But the idea feels like a product of analysis. But then the more you talk about the idea and teach the idea and use the idea and make the idea yours, the more the idea becomes facts. And then that allows your mind to relate to it fresh as, okay, well, now I got to work on that set of facts, and then you could go deeper, So that's an experience I've had with certain ideas. Like you have a certain working definition of something that becomes the way that you relate to it. And then one day you realize, well, that working definition, I need to like analyze, like it's no longer like now that's part of the facts, and I go even deeper into that. And I think that's where the cycle comes in, because then you go back and you examine that again and again. If you've had this experience, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. But if not, then feel free to ask me questions. I'll try to explain it better. Okay, I'm getting blank looks. I don't know if that means that you're on board or if it's confusing. The main goal here is to understand these two nuances of what does he mean to make your mouth intelligent. So I think that we got is like there's a stage where like you're fluent in the ideas and you explain them clearly. But then there is a process where you are so fluent in the ideas that you then begin to examine those formulations that you've had, and then that leads to new understanding. And this is another reason why I know some people don't like teaching the same classes over and over and over again. I really do, because I have this phenomenon and I experience it that like it forces me to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the same statements or the same ideas. Okay, let's do another one. All right, this Rambam Yona is a little short, oddly short. Let's just see if we can see a nuance here. So, B'terem Yadaber, before he speaks, Yachshov Yizbonin, he will think and contemplate. Uv'eis Yadaber, and at the time he speaks, Yosif Levavo Lekach, his mind will add lekach, b'mivtas basav, through the verbalization. Milvad tuv tam vadas shiachshav lifnei mivtas basav. In addition to the good, to the sound reasoning and knowledge he thought about before expressing, before verbalizing it. Okay, you know what? I saw someone else say the same thing. So let me move Rבינו and Yona. I think it was this oh yeah, Shishas ben Ytzchak. Let me just try this here. Okay, I think he says something similar. Hold on here. If this ends up not being similar, then we'll treat them as different things. So Rבינו, Shishas ben Yitzchak. So he says, Od ze yarchiv melitza v'yomar ki ein litmua. One shouldn't be astonished. Im yischadish lechacham inyan chachma b'chachma. If a chacham comes up with a new idea in chachma, o b'inyan acher, or something else, asher haya nela mimenu, which was hidden from him, v'zeh yikra shizbar lo oso inyan al yidei hachakira v'ha'izbonos b'chachma, and this happens to become clarified to him through investigation and contemplation of wisdom. Okay, I know this doesn't make any sense yet. Kilifamim, for sometimes, yikra shizchadish lo inyan min ha-machshavah ledibor, a person will chance upon a new insight from thought to speech. Kihu yichashiv inyan echa belibo, for he will be thinking about a certain idea in his mind. Ukshi so, and when he says it over, yitakin oso belashon, he will improve it in his formulation. Kilu yafe oso maskil umlamed lalev, as if kilu yafe, as if he beautified it. Hold on, I'm just going to check and make sure that this is not a typo here. Something's not clicking. As if he funny. I'll have to read this one later on. I don't know exactly how to translate this. Kilu yafe oso. I think it means he beautified. Maskil umalamed lalev. I don't know how to translate that part. And taught his mind. Okay, in other words, he beautified it with his tongue and taught his mind. Now, this last part is the only part I really wanted. And on his lips, he increases lekach. This is supposed to be bold. He increases lekach. Klomar, in other words, Kishiala oso inyan min ha-machshavas halev ledvar sivasayim. You know, this is not what I thought. Maybe this is what I thought. Okay, I think they're talking about the same thing. Okay, I think just to summarize both of them here, I'll finish translating this. Lamar Kishiala oso inyan min ha-machshavas halev ledvar sivasayim. When the idea goes from being a thought in the mind to in the mind to a statement of the lips, Yosif bodas v'chachma, he will increase knowledge and wisdom. Yeah. Okay, so I think what he's saying is like this: is main idea. I'll go with the main idea. Yeah, let's focus on the Rבינו and Yona here. What do you think the Rבינו and Yona is saying? Before he speaks, he will think and contemplate, and at the time he speaks, his mind will add lekach through the verbalization in addition to the sound reasoning and knowledge he thought about before verbalizing it. Just to summarize the facts here, okay, is if you stop and think about something a lot before saying it, you'll end up getting a better idea. I guess you'll end up improving the idea the idea upon saying it, because the version that comes out will be superior to the version you thought about. Yeah, Isaiah?
I mean, I think he's saying maybe even like a little bit more is that like when you speak it, like your mind will add lekach, meaning like seemingly out of nowhere, like new content to the idea that you're speaking will emerge, like either maybe like through your subconscious or something like that. Like there's going to be more to the idea than you intended to say when you thought it through.
Yeah, definitely. So the place I can tell you about this the most is when I give a Sunday shiur in YBT, because those are the shiurim that I prepare the most. And every single time, without fail, then I end up saying stuff that like I did not prepare ahead of time, and like it's just ends up being like new points or new clarity. And like I think subconscious is a good way to say it. It's like I don't know where it comes from, but like it's something that the mind does, just working on it. And this is different than what I was saying for my dad's idea, because my dad's idea, that I was saying that the conscious process of formulating it forces a greater level of clarity. Here, it's almost like he's saying the opposite. He's saying that the process of sitting and thinking about it a lot is going to make your speech more intelligent. So the lave of the chacham is what makes his mouth say more intelligent words. Yeah. Okay. I think this is a pretty good haul. I think this is a good stopping point for tonight. I know we're a little earlier than usual, but the ideas were a lot more similar than usual. Oh, I already translated the Rambam. Let's just read the Rambam here. I don't know if this is a good translation. This is ChatGPT. Oh no, I checked this one over. That which is formed in the mind of the wise person, his mouth conveys to others, for his words align with what is represented in his mind, whether in interpersonal matters, because he does not speak with duplicity, or in intellectual matters, because his wisdom enables him to speak in a manner that ensures his words correspond to what he has conceived in his mind. What a long sentence. Okay, I think what he's saying so far is the chacham, you got a lot of people who say stuff, they say one thing and think something else. The chacham is going to be someone who, in matters of theoretical truth, he'll say what he's thinking, and in interpersonal matters, he won't lie. Okay, so he'll accurately, what you hear him say is what is in his mind. Moreover, he speaks that way. He speaks in a way that through his lips adds a good acquisition to what was already in his heart. This is because in a heart, a statement can have only one intention, whereas when he articulates it, he can phrase it in a way that encompasses multiple meanings, all of which are beneficial. So that's like what Shlomo HaMelech does, right? Is that you can only think of one idea at a time, okay? You can't think, like let's say our ideas we came up with tonight, you can't think them all mushed together, but you can say them in a way where you have one statement that lends itself to multiple ideas. So I think that's what means that al sfasav yosif lakach, that when you formulate it, you can formulate it in a way that packs additional ideas into it. Additionally, in another respect, especially particularly in interpersonal matters, this is highly advantageous, for he enhances his speech with pleasantness and sweetness, which helps draw people in and lead them towards his intended goals. In intellectual matters as well, he refines his words with elements that beautify and adorn the statement, making it more appealing and compelling. So again, I got to draw on my what do you call it? Experience here is that, I often teach in classes. I mean, the school I teach at now does not have at least for my classes, does not have honors and grade level track. So I'm often in a class where there are people on like both sides of the academic or like intellectual spectrum. So I'm almost now automatically will end up trying when let's say you have a really intelligent student asking a sharp, deep question, I'll try to answer him in a way where he's getting his answer from my words, but then the person who is not quite following that level of question will get a basic idea from what I'm saying also. And it's a skill. And I think in interpersonal matters, like I bet parents do this all the time when there's an older child and a younger child, where they have to like make peace, and they'll say something in a way where like the older child gets like that there's a hidden intention, that like, you're kind of like talking to him, but like the younger child is just going over his head, or politicians do this for good and for bad, where they're speaking to multiple audiences at the same time, multiple demographics, and like having different messages, that they're conveying, is an interesting feature of speech. So that's Bog's idea really emphasizes the Yosef Lekach at the end. Okay, so let's summarize what we have here. We have Ayala's idea, which is that, and Alex's idea, excuse me, which is that if you see someone who is good at speaking, intelligently, don't assume that that's an innate quality or that you can just get it through oratory without developing your mind. Development of the mind is the key. And if you do that, then you'll be able to not only speak in a way that is intelligent, but even use your speech to gain more knowledge. And that, I think, like dovetails with the other ideas that we're saying here. But the Havamina is different and the application in the audience is different. So that's what I liked about this set of ideas. Then Ariel and Isaiah, I don't remember if these were supposed to be together. Ariel's idea, I think, still has a lot of potential, which is that it's starting from a chacham who just receives knowledge. So now he's involved in getting knowledge. Then he starts talking about knowledge with people, not just hearing, but talking. And that involves him further in knowledge. And then there is some quality where he is adding what is uniquely his own with his lips. And that lets you get even more. And I'm theorizing that this is part of how you go from a chacham to a navon, because the navon is the one who's increasing his knowledge. The chacham is not. But we just need to see exactly what is it saying about the lips there. And Isaiah was saying how you're going to the better you, the more you're involved you are in knowledge, then the more you'll speak intelligently. And that itself will help you acquire new ideas, which is not true in other areas, meaning like let's say, for example, okay, I can't think of another example of this, but it is a cool property of knowledge that it does this. So then my dad's idea and my idea is that there's a difference between the mouth and the lips. Mouth is just what you want to say. So you could content yourself with having wisdom and then just saying it, but not worrying about how you formulate it precisely or in a way that people can understand. But if you take that step, that will really complete your knowledge because it'll force you to a higher level of clarity. And the practical application is everyone should teach. Then we have the Mitzudas David, which is the positive feedback loop, where if you get to the point of clarity where the ideas are fluent in your mouth and you could talk about them without thinking and it's perfectly clear and you're not stammering or hesitating and you could just, someone could wake you up in the middle of the night, you could say it, then that will lead to this phenomenon where you'll then start to have a different level of scrutiny in the formulations that you have. And I'm theorizing that it's because now you relate to those formulations as facts. They're part of your worldview. They're not the outcome of knowledge. They are the way you see the world. And then you can go deeper, and then it's a virtuous cycle because you keep going back and forth, getting more and more knowledge and deeper knowledge. Then you've got Rabinu Yona, who we're saying is that if you think before you speak, you'll find that you'll say new ideas and points that you didn't even plan to because of unconscious processes. And then the Ralbag's idea that a chacham will be able to formulate his words in a way where they have multiple benefits, multiple objectives, either in knowledge, conveying multiple ideas, or in interpersonal realms like speaking, giving multiple messages. Okay, that was a good set of ideas about the relationship between speech and thinking. Okay, so next week should be good on my end. Bli neder, and thanks for coming. Talk to you later.
Thank you.